I'm sure you've experienced this moment before. You've just taken a picture after a fun night out. You're on the verge of sharing it online, and then it happens. You feel this twist in your stomach. It's like an aching in your heart. And there's a voice inside your head saying, "Why am I doing this?" Some people in that moment decide, screw it, and they'll post it anyway. But others seize that moment of reflection and turn it into transformation. They put their phone away and then they reclaim the moment. So, my question is, what is the difference between those two different types of people? This is the psychology of people who don't post their photos on social media. In a world where posting almost no longer feels like a choice anymore. To understand what makes these people different and what we can learn from them, we first need to understand how we got here in the first place. Posting photos on social media wasn't always an anxiety-inducing experience. In the early days, it was pretty exciting to post your pictures and connect with friends and family across the globe, and this was the early days, on platforms like MySpace and Facebook. I'm really dating myself here. It was a time where social media had no real identity. We just kind of made it up as we went along. But then, over the years, as these platforms became even more popular, slowly things went from harmlessly sharing in a genuine effort to interact with your friends and family to a battle of popularity, trying to get the most likes and reach the most followers. Soon enough, it felt like everything was cringe and nobody wanted to present themselves authentically anymore. They wanted to post what would get the most results. That shift in behavior is something psychologists term as extrinsic motivation, compared to the intrinsic behavior of sharing pictures from a fun night with friends. Extrinsic motivation is less about what you like. Instead, it strips away your individuality for external rewards or to avoid punishment. In an effort to escape being cringe, we are forgetting what it means to be real. Compared to the early 2010s, posting nowadays feels less like an expression and more like performance. The average dinner date is, it's dystopian. You get your meal and you cannot wait to dig in. Maybe you've been waiting hours, and then you get a gentle smack on your hand to get away from the cutlery, and your date pulls out their phone and spends a few minutes capturing aesthetic photos with the meal. Not so you guys can savor that moment and then relive it later, but it's all for the gram. So the followers know that you eat at expensive places. It's all performative, and recognizing that doesn't easily exclude you from the theater. Extrinsic motivation has everyone in a chokehold. Even if you don't have aspirations to be an influencer, there's still a minimum bar that people feel a pressure to keep up with. I know I do. It's an invisible line in the sand that we deem as a standard. You don't fully realize it until it just randomly hits you. This battle between extrinsic and intrinsic motivation is made even clearer in one specific kind of moment, and this is called the photographer's paradox. So follow me on this one. Have you ever found yourself at a function that you enjoy? Maybe it's a concert. Your favorite singer is hitting all the right notes, and your soul is, it's in tune with the experience. And then you realize, you haven't taken a picture yet, and suddenly you're burdened by a weight of emotional proportion. Suddenly your mind starts to zone into capturing what you're feeling inside of a photo. As both the observer and the performer, you expect this should be easy. Well, therein lies the paradox. The need to prove that I was here and I had fun, and then it just ruins the value of the experience. The conflict between creating for yourself and performing for an imaginary audience will only end when you abandon the need to post every experience on social media. The temptation to participate ultimately leads to no solid end, and that's by design. After all, we are living in an attention economy. Not many can fully grasp the decision to look past this new normal. However, the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard understood such withdrawal from convention. Back in the 19th century, Kierkegaard drew a spotlight on individual authenticity. he highlighted individuality as a guiding principle in the face of a crowd, arguing that the crowd is untruth. A place where people hide from themselves, acting only on what's popular. In his view, the pressure to meet up with standards or avoid being cringe ultimately drowns out our true selves. Kierkegaard's warning was never as haunting as it is today. Now we understand why. In our world today, the crowd isn't just the collective consciousness of social media users, it's the algorithm, a specially designed tool dedicated to keep us engaged with a platform's content. Insecurity is profit. When the crowd says your phone's camera is outdated, well, you go out and buy the newest iPhone. When it says you're not fit enough, you buy a conveniently advertised weight loss tea. With all the loudness from the outside, how would you ever find yourself? The whims of celebrities and algorithms dictate the standard. So there are those who ask, why should participation matter? This answer from French philosopher Albert Camus rings true for the outliers. With rebellion, awareness is born. A user who refuses to post is a textbook Camusian rebel. The performative logic of social media's machine is worth rejecting. In an absurd world, accepting strange rules is like smothering one's own independence in ignorance. Choosing silence in the attention economy can feel like a digital strike, a form of protest that rejects every aspect of the all-consuming machine. It's modern-day activism. The people that refuse to post stop contributing to the system that is killing authenticity. Rejection of the norm means avoiding the tools of subservience, even when the message is justifiable. It invokes Gil Scott-Heron's iconic words, "The revolution will not be televised." As you tread the path away from convention, there's another danger on the horizon. This time, you risk becoming a caricature of your protest. The entire point of leaving social media isn't to become a Grinch. It's to fully embrace life and individuality away from the crowd. Therefore, spending your life telling everyone that they're wrong for posting on social media leads to the opposite result. You just make people cringe and you kind of become inauthentic in the real world. Human beings may be complicated, but we are also quite simple in unexpected ways. It's like asking a friend not to have a chilled can of Coke on a hot summer afternoon because it's unhealthy. Sure, they get it, but there's no way they're going to let you talk them out of it. Social media is pretty similar, especially among younger generations. Here's my old man shouts at cloud moment. For Gen Z, it's synonymous with thriving. Psychologist David Elkind described adolescence as having an imaginary audience. Even with their phones switched off, younger generations seem primed to always act with an audience in mind. And it's no surprise. Just look at the rise of the Gen Alpha term 6-7. The entire point of the meme is to do it in the presence of an audience, without which it has no meaning. It's a symbol to others that you are in the know, that you're a part of the tribe. It's completely performative and completely extrinsic. You also see it in the idols kids of today have. Back in the day, kids idolized athletes like Michael Jordan. Today, their idols are YouTubers and Twitch streamers. They're even beginning to speak in a TikTok accent. It's the cadence and delivery of younger demographics, and it's shifting towards something that was entirely birthed online. It's a performative change, as if every conversation is a potential clip, and everyone is a creator in waiting, hoping for the day that they go viral. It's crazy that the word chat might soon become a fourth-person pronoun. It's carved from the world of streaming. People have started using this word in real life to reflect the same feeling of breaking the fourth wall and speaking to an imaginary audience. Posting on social media is strangely restrictive to your identity. There's an odd sense of responsibility that comes with carving a niche for yourself. Even if you don't plan to become an influencer, friends and family still have baseline expectations for who you are. That's where an online presence really starts to crystallize. This crystallized self is a core part of social media. Every post, like, share, aesthetic. It all contributes to the data that your audience builds on you. Once your identity is crystallized, it's incredibly fragile. Any deviation cracks the facade. However, in the real world, identities are always more fluid and contextual. To one friend group, you're a lovable loudmouth with a snappy sense of humor. To another, you're a career-driven person and you're always in a serious mood. That's even who you are with coworkers and family members. Meanwhile, the average popular person on social media is almost not allowed to have a bad fan interaction. Once that happens, it's seen as a betrayal of the crystallized identity. That's why A-list actors like Jennifer Lawrence and Scarlett Johansson have openly refused to join social media. It's not that they're above it, it's just a professional necessity. Their job is to be a blank slate for the audience, to convince you that they are a new character in every film. But for the actors that are active on social media, there's a strong connection to that crystallized self when you watch them in a movie. Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds because you've seen so much Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool might as well be Ryan Reynolds. And it's the same thing with Dwayne Johnson and the new younger crop of actors. For those that avoid social media, they understand that the most powerful form of presence can sometimes be a strategic absence. Posting on social media doesn't only cause that inevitable crystallization. For many, it comes with a pigeonhole effect. If you'd like your presence to grow, it's nice to have a niche. One small problem though, by sticking with a niche, you risk becoming boxed into the one thing that you got famous for in the first place. If you're a body positivity influencer, a moment of dissatisfaction can lose you followers. You're no longer a person, you're only a product with a brand identity. When someone avoids posting their photos and life on social media, it's more than just quitting addiction. It's a jailbreak that shatters the crystallized nature of themselves, returning to a more fluid personal identity. While it feels like the people who don't post on social media are a small group, that couldn't be farther from the truth, actually. For decades, internet culture has actually operated on a 1% rule, one that dictates only 1% of users create content, 9% interact, and 90% consume. But today, the passive 90% are strategically withdrawing further. Yes, even with their minimal participation, there's a growing effort to abandon posting. People who would upload a new picture once a year are clearing their entire feed. A 2023 survey found that 47% of Gen Z delete posts because they didn't get enough engagement, and 1 in 3 avoid posting at all out of fear of judgment. But that doesn't automatically mean they've closed the curtains on social media. No, this shift is from public broadcasting to a more private, narrow casting. We're seeing the rise of Finstas and close friend lists, the small, curated circles where people feel they're safe from the biggest consequences of social media. Ephemeral content is even bigger than ever. Think of stuff like Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, and Snapchat stories. After 24 hours, it all disappears, reducing the pressure of a permanent record. What we're witnessing is the rise of the quiet participant, a new face to social media that refuses to participate in the game of algorithms. But that doesn't exempt them from its consequences. Even quiet users are vulnerable to social media's worst effects. In what I would describe as an ironic twist, the reality of social media users, you have to wonder why the truth isn't so popular. On the outside, it looks like everyone is participating actively, but this silent majority holds all the cards. It's only a matter of time before an exodus brews, hitting the pockets of the tech companies of the world. So in a culture that rewards visibility, withholding information is self-control. And in a generation raised on endless comparison, the decision to keep something private stands as one of the final ways to stay mentally independent. The world is quickly becoming one where memories are harvested, feeding into AI and algorithms, spewing a crude version of our desires back at us. Choosing not to post might be the only way for us to remain uncaptured, unmeasured, and unprofitable. So, if you've ever kept a moment for no one but you, that's a precious thing. Don't feel like you're fading into the background. Maybe the truest version of you is the one that can't be used.